5 hidden reasons most people don't live well past 80, and how to beat the odds. Have you ever wondered why someone who was sharp, active, and full of life at 78 suddenly seems to decline after turning 80? You probably assume it's just genetics or bad luck. But what if I told you there are hidden factors that silently determine who thrives past 80 and who doesn't? In this video, I'm going to reveal 5 surprising reasons most people struggle after 80, reasons your doctor won't tell you about, that aren't in health magazines, and that even most experts overlook. These aren't the obvious factors like diet or exercise. These are the invisible forces that can make or break your golden years. And here's the good news. Once you understand these hidden factors, you can take action today, whether you're 50, 65, or already in your 70s, to dramatically change your trajectory. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what separates those who merely survive past 80 from those who continue to thrive with energy, clarity, and purpose. So if you're concerned about your future quality of life, or you're worried about an aging parent or grandparent, stay with me until the end. This might be the most important information you'll ever learn about aging well. Now, let's dive into the first hidden reason. 1. The disappearance of micro-social connections. The first hidden reason many people decline after 80 isn't what you'd expect. It's not disease or disability. It's the quiet vanishing of what scientists call micro-social connections. These aren't your deep friendships or family bonds. Those matter too, of course. I'm talking about those brief, seemingly insignificant daily interactions that most of us take for granted. Chatting with the barista who makes your coffee, exchanging pleasantries with the mail carrier, or the quick hello with neighbors walking their dogs. By age 80, these micro-connections often disappear without anyone noticing. An older person might stop going to the store themselves because it's easier to order online. They might avoid brief conversations because hearing has become challenging. They might stop their daily walks because the weather's too unpredictable. Each change seems reasonable, even practical, but collectively, they create a devastating loss that accelerates aging at the neurological level. I witnessed this with my client Margaret. At 82, she had excellent physical health, low blood pressure, healthy weight, no major illnesses. Yet her cognitive abilities were declining rapidly. When I visited her home, I discovered she had virtually no micro-social connections left. Her groceries were delivered. She rarely left the house. Days would pass without her speaking to another human being. What science now shows is that these brief social exchanges aren't just pleasant, they're literally keeping your brain alive. Each micro-interaction activates neural pathways that maintain cognitive flexibility, releases hormones that regulate stress and inflammation, provides sensory stimulation that keeps the brain alert and engaged, creates a sense of community that reduces depression and anxiety. When these connections vanish, the brain interprets this as a threat, similar to physical danger, triggering stress responses that accelerate cognitive decline. The solution isn't complicated. Research from the Harvard Study of Adult Development found that simply maintaining 3-5 brief social interactions daily can slow cognitive aging by up to 40%. That could be saying hello to a store clerk, chatting with a neighbor, or even brief small talk with the pharmacist. So if you or someone you love is over 75, pay attention not just to deep relationships, but to these micro-connections. Are they still happening daily? If not, it's time to intentionally rebuild them. Because they're not just pleasant, they're literally keeping the brain young. If you're finding value in these insights so far, please comment #1 below to let me know you're here. And don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for more life-changing health information. 2. The safety trap. How excessive caution accelerates aging. The second hidden reason many people don't thrive past 80 might shock you. It's actually being too careful. Let me explain. Around age 80, many people, and often their well-meaning families, begin prioritizing safety above everything else. Don't climb those stairs. Don't go out when it's cold. Don't lift anything heavy. Use the elevator instead. Each precaution seems wise. Nobody wants a fall or injury. But this excessive caution creates what geriatricians now call the safety trap. a cascade of physical decline that happens not because of age, but because of inactivity disguised as prudence. The science is clear. Your body operates on a use it or lose it principle that becomes even more critical after 80. When movements become restricted, even with good intentions, muscle atrophy accelerates at an alarming rate. Studies show adults over 80 can lose up to 5% of their muscle mass in just 2 weeks of reduced activity. But it's not just muscle. Balance systems deteriorate without regular challenge. Proprioception, your body's ability to know where it is in space, becomes impaired. Bone density decreases, and most importantly, your confidence erodes, creating a vicious cycle where fear leads to inactivity, which creates weakness, which justifies more fear. I'll never forget Robert, an 86-year-old former professor I worked with. After a minor slip with no injury, his children insisted he stop his daily 10-minute walk to the park. Just to be safe, they said. Within 3 months he needed assistance to get out of a chair, not because he'd aged significantly, but because his body had adapted to doing less. The research on this is striking. A 2022 study in the Journal of Gerontology found that adults who maintained moderate physical challenges in their 80s, including activities with some risk like gardening, walking on uneven surfaces, or carrying groceries, showed 60% less functional decline than those who adopted overly cautious lifestyles. The solution isn't recklessness, it's smart risk. It's understanding that the danger of doing too little far outweighs the danger of doing too much. If you're over 75 or care for someone who is, evaluate whether safety has become a cage. Are stairs avoided completely, or climbed carefully? Are walks abandoned, or modified? Is lifting anything discouraged, or is appropriate weight training incorporated? Because the body doesn't just age chronologically, it ages according to what you demand of it. And when you demand nothing in the name of safety, it will give you exactly that in return, nothing. 3. Disrupted light exposure and circadian rhythms. The third hidden reason many people decline after 80 is something most doctors never discuss: disrupted exposure to natural light. This may sound trivial compared to serious medical conditions, but emerging research shows it's actually one of the most powerful factors determining who thrives in their 80s and who doesn't. Here's what happens. As people age, they typically spend less time outdoors. They may become more sensitive to temperature extremes, struggle with mobility, or simply fall out of the habit of getting outside daily. Simultaneously, their indoor lighting patterns change, often staying in dimly lit rooms during the day, while using bright screens or artificial lights well into the evening. This disrupts what scientists call the circadian rhythm, your body's internal 24-hour clock that governs nearly every biological system from hormone production to brain repair. The consequences are profound, but easily misattributed to just getting older. Sleep quality deteriorates, cognitive function becomes impaired, immune response weakens, metabolism slows, and most critically for longevity, cellular repair mechanisms become less efficient. I saw this transformation with Eleanor, age 84. She was experiencing rapid cognitive decline despite having no dementia diagnosis. Medical tests showed nothing concerning. The turning point came when her geriatrician prescribed a simple but radical change: 20 minutes of morning sunlight exposure within an hour of waking, reduced artificial light after 8 p.m., and blackout curtains in her bedroom. Within 3 weeks, her sleep improved dramatically. Within 2 months, her cognitive test scores increased by 23%. Nothing else in her regimen had changed. The science behind this is compelling. A landmark study from the Lighting Research Center found that adults over 80 who received proper light exposure, bright natural light in the morning, minimal blue light in the evening, experienced 37% improvement in sleep quality, 28% reduction in nighttime awakenings, 42% improvement in mood, measures significant increases in melatonin production and regularity. What makes this particularly important after 80 is that the eye's lens yellows with age, reducing the amount of blue light that reaches the retina. This means older adults need up to 3 times more bright light exposure to properly set their circadian rhythms compared to younger adults. The solution is straightforward. Make sure you or your elderly loved ones get outside in natural morning light daily, even if just for 15 minutes. Use bright full-spectrum lighting during daytime hours indoors, and be vigilant about reducing artificial light exposure in the evening, particularly from screens and overhead lighting. Your body's internal clock doesn't just influence how you feel, it literally determines how effectively your cells repair and regenerate. After 80, this isn't just about comfort, it's about survival. If you're still with me and finding this valuable, please type #3 in the comments, and make sure you've subscribed for more life-changing insights. 4. Unprocessed emotional pain and its physical toll. The fourth hidden reason many people don't thrive past 80 is rarely discussed in medical settings: the accumulation of unprocessed grief and emotional pain. By the time someone reaches 80, they've typically experienced profound losses: spouses, siblings, friends, sometimes even children. They've weathered major life transitions, given up cherished homes, roles, and identities. The emotional burden is immense, yet our society offers few pathways for elders to process these experiences. Instead, many older adults internalize stoic messages: keep a stiff upper lip, don't burden others with your feelings. It's all part of getting older. But here's what the research now shows: unprocessed emotional pain doesn't just hurt psychologically, it creates measurable physical damage that accelerates aging and disease. When grief and loss remain unexpressed, the body remains in a state of chronic stress. Cortisol levels stay elevated, inflammation increases, the immune system becomes compromised, sleep quality deteriorates, and perhaps most significantly, the vagus nerve, which regulates nearly every major organ system, becomes dysregulated. I witnessed this with Thomas, 87, who had lost his wife of 61 years. On the surface, he appeared to be handling it well. He rarely spoke of his grief, kept his appointments, and maintained his routines. But physically he was declining rapidly: unexplained weight loss, frequent infections, escalating blood pressure, and concerning memory issues. What changed everything wasn't medication. It was finding a senior grief group where he could finally speak openly about his loss. Within 4 months of weekly attendance, his physical markers improved dramatically. His doctor was baffled by the transformation. The scientific evidence for this mind-body connection is now irrefutable. A groundbreaking study from the University of Birmingham followed adults over 80 for 5 years and found that those who had regular opportunities to process emotional experiences had 43% fewer inflammatory markers in their bloodstream, minus 37% stronger immune function, significantly better cardiovascular health, lower rates of dementia, and cognitive decline. The solution isn't complicated, but it requires overcoming powerful cultural taboos around emotional expression, particularly for older generations. If you're over 75, or care for someone who is prioritize emotional ventilation, finding safe spaces to express grief, fear, loneliness, and loss. This might be through supportive friendships, faith communities, professional counseling, or even journal. The format matters less than the fundamental act of bringing internal pain into the external world, where it can finally begin to heal. Because what many don't realize is that emotions don't just live in the mind, they live in the body. And when they remain expressed year after year, they don't just hurt the heart, they age every cell in the body. 5. The silent crisis of purpose. The fifth and perhaps most powerful hidden reason many people don't thrive past 80 is the gradual erosion of purpose. What gerontologists now recognize as a critical biological necessity, not just a psychological preference. I'm not talking about grand life missions or impressive achievements. I'm talking about simple daily purpose, having a reason to get out of bed each morning, feeling needed, having something to contribute, no matter how small. What the research shows is stunning. Purpose isn't just nice to have, it creates measurable biological changes that directly impact longevity. When someone has purpose, even modest purpose, their body responds at the cellular level. Stress hormones decrease, inflammatory markers decline, the vagal tone improves, blood pressure stabilizes. Astonishingly, telomeres, the protective caps on your DNA that predict longevity, actually degrade more slowly. Conversely, when purpose disappears, the body begins to shut down systems that aren't being used. It's as though the body is asking, why keep maintaining all these complex systems if there's no purpose to serve? I saw this transformation with David, 88, who had been a teacher for over 40 years. After retiring, he maintained strong purpose through community volunteering and mentoring. But when mobility issues confined him primarily to home at 86, his sense of being deteriorated. Although physically stable, he began declining rapidly, losing weight, sleeping poorly, and showing early signs of cognitive impairment. The turnaround came when his neighbor, knowing his background, asked if he would help her grandson struggling with reading. 3 times weekly, the boy would visit for 30-minute reading sessions. Though simple, this regular commitment to help a child reignited David's sense of purpose. His health markers improved within weeks. 2 years later, at 90, he was thriving. The research confirms this isn't unusual. A landmark study from Rush University Medical Center followed adults over 80 for 5 years and found that those with high purpose in life were 2.4 times less likely to develop Alzheimer's, 57% less likely to die from any cause during the study period, more likely to maintain physical function despite having identical medical conditions as their counterparts. What's particularly important to understand is that purpose doesn't need to be grand or impressive. It can be caring for a pet, maintaining a garden that others enjoy, making weekly phone calls to check on friends, or sharing wisdom and stories with younger generations. The key is feeling that your existence matters, that someone or something would miss your contribution if you weren't here. If you're over 75, or care for someone who is, this might be the most important question to ask. What gives your days meaning? Who or what still needs you? And if the answer isn't clear, making this a priority could quite literally save a life. Because what keeps the heart beating strong isn't just good circulation. It's having a reason for that heart to beat at all. Final thoughts. The truth about thriving past 80. As we wrap up this exploration of the hidden factors that determine who thrives past 80, I want to leave you with this powerful truth. Aging itself isn't what causes most people to decline after 80. It's the quiet accumulation of disconnection from others, from challenge, from natural rhythms, from emotional expression, and from purpose. The good news is that unlike genetics, or many medical conditions, these factors are largely within our control. They don't require expensive treatments or rare resources. They require awareness and intentional choices, choices we can begin making at any age. If you're in your 50s or 60s, consider this video preventive medicine. The habits and connections you build now will determine your trajectory decades later. If you're in your 70s or 80s, know that it's never too late to reverse these patterns. The body and brain remain remarkably responsive to positive changes, even after decades of neglect. And if you're caring for an aging loved one, understand that medical care alone isn't enough. Addressing these 5 hidden factors might do more for their longevity and quality of life than many of the medications and treatments they're currently receiving. The choice before all of us isn't whether we'll age, it's how we'll age, and that choice is far more within our control than most of us realize. Thank you for staying with me through this exploration. If you found value in these insights, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more life-changing health information. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments.
Which of these 5 factors surprised you the most, and what changes might you make based on what you've learned? Your feedback not only helps our channel grow, it helps us create content that truly makes a difference in people's lives. Until next time, remember, aging is inevitable, but decline is optional.